What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon May.
Thank you for joining us. Brandon, anything you want to talk about before we dive into the playlist this week?
Oh, geez. Has there been music news? I didn't even think about that. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I have, no, nothing coming to the top of my mind.
There you go.
Maybe something on the show will spark my memory here.
Maybe.
Let's start off with the first song on the playlist this week, which is a new one from Swedish House Mafia called Ray of Solar. How are you feeling about it?
I actually really like this track, man. I was a little worried
Yeah.
before I hit play, but I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it as the EDM blogs seem to be. I think it's fine, but it's just classic house chords with some kind of Dutch worked in. But I think in terms of how it relates to their last album, I did enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed this song better than I enjoyed most of the tracks on their last album. So,
Yeah, I'll co-sign that. We got the extended mix of Live Again or Live Again by the
think it's Live
Chemical
Again.
Brothers. Still just as good as when we reviewed it, just longer.
so I put this on here. There was a Maya Jane Cole's remix, which is fine, but the extended mix, this is exactly why I love extended mixes. They didn't really add much to the track, about like a minute and 38 seconds, but that minute and 38 seconds really sets up the tone for the track. I think it lets you kind of like groove into it, and then you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You know I'm a huge fan of extended mixes along with you.
Right.
This one, I imagine we're going to be getting more for other tracks on the album, but it's cool that we're starting to get them now for the new album.
Right. I agree.
All right. How you feeling about this new one from Imanu and the Glitch Mob called Dream Sequence?
Well, I threw it on because I saw the Glitch Mob feature, and I was like,
Of course.
okay, well, their last album didn't really do it for me, but this is the Glitch Mob being kind of glitchy again. I thought they didn't want to do this sound. I actually really liked this track.
By this sound, you mean heavy distortion?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they're doing it again. I didn't know they weren't going to do it again, but judging from their more recent releases, I assumed that was the case, that they were going in a different direction, which is a shame because I think Drink the Sea is like one of the all-time albums from that era, but I like this. It's really good.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Got a new one from No Taker called Unreal. I don't know if I've ever heard No Taker do drum and bass before, but I really liked it. What about you?
Yeah, it confused me a little bit, man. I clicked on it and I was like, wait, this isn't No Taker. And it's actually like it's like prog drum and bass. It like continues to
yeah.
it's like really neat, man. I was a big fan of this song.
Yeah, I dug it as well. We got a new one from Recondite called Introspect. It is minimal, well made, so pretty much classic Recondite. How you feeling about it?
Bouncy, dark, and bassy. So like my Recondite.
Judging from the artwork on this one, it looks like it's going to be part of a series called the Indifferent series. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from him soon.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
I know you're not. All right, we got a new one from Caliuchis, Elafa, and JT, and man, this song is so much fun. The beat, the Chicky Chaka verse, Cali and JT going back and forth. This one is really working for me, man. Been heavy in my rotation all week. What about you?
This is not for me, bro. The Chicky Chaka verse is something that I was listening to this for the first time in the car, and this came on, and I was like, the fuck am I listening to?
It's okay to be wrong, Brandon.
No, yeah, I'm allowed to be wrong every once in a while. It's rare, but I'm allowed to be.
See if your coworkers fuck with it.
I was listening to it in the car, so I haven't played it for the coworker. They might.
Oh, dude, I thought it was funny. Like the first
It's
time
fun
it played,
for sure.
No, I had the same reaction the first time because like I was like, oh, new Cali song, which is like an event in my household.
Right.
So me and my wife were like, let's hit play on it. And like that verse starts, right? He starts doing the Chicky Chaka part, and like you let it go for a bar or two, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of ignore it. But then it goes on so long that you just can't ignore it. So we kind of like looked at each other, and then it just made us laugh. And ever since then, I've just thought it's been really fun.
You either lean in or you pull back, and I pulled back.
Yeah.
Y'all leaned in, respect.
Yes, yes. That maybe that's the trick. All right, man. We got a new one from Jordan Ward and Black called Mustard. Are you a fan of this like pitched up pop R&B sound at all?
No, not really, man.
Yeah, me either. I think that I'd be more keen to it if it wasn't on 80% of the vocals on the track. But this feels like made for TikTok and playlists, like good
Yeah,
vibes only type of shit.
and I kind of just found myself waiting for Black's verse and was like disappointed by it when it finally came. Like the guitar loop is kind of cool on this track, but otherwise it was a miss for me.
Yeah, I thought his verse was fine. I just thought the song was disjointed. It didn't really work within the context of the song, but on its own, it was decent.
Disjointed. It's a good word.
Yes. It is. It is. All right, man. We are at my song of the week.
I
Big
fucking
surprise.
knew it. The
Of
second
course.
I heard this song, I was like, "Yep, here's John's."
Of course. And shout out Fantano having this on his worst tracks of the week this
What?
week. Yeah, I apparently not a fan of the mid 2000s R&B sound. Whatever. I love this shit. So the song is Usher, Summer Walker, and 21 Savage. It's called Good Good. It is mid 2000s corny R&B at its best.
Right.
Everything I love, man. Usher sounding as good as he ever has. Summer Walker actually sounding inspired, which is rare, and maybe my favorite 21 Savage verse to date, man. I love this one. I'm a big fan. What about you?
Yeah, man, this is a fucking banger. Everybody on this track killed it, like you said. Usher sounds great. 21's verse was, intolerable. And Summer Walker
Yeah.
fucking did it, man. I loved this track. This was a good one. I kept coming back to this one. It's cheesy, and it's definitely early 2000s. This is Kelly Rowland trying to text through Microsoft Excel early 2000s. But I think I think I really like it.
God damn it. God damn it. Oh man. I wonder if that person got the text.
They most
It's
definitely didn't. Unless you like zipped up the Excel file and emailed it.
oh man, the amount of coke that director was doing had to have been insane. Uh all right, we got a new one from Georgia Smith called Go Go Go. I thought this one was a good song, but it's the first single in this album rollout that's felt more like an album cut than an actual single to me. I still liked it though. What about you?
Man, Georgia makes some bops.
Yes, she
This is a
does.
great song. It's catchy. It's not overly radio friendly, which you actually know that
No.
I like out of R&B.
Mhm.
It's like a sensible pop song, man. I really dug this. I liked it.
Glad you enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Got a new one from Alina Baraz called Keep Me in Love. We have not heard from her in a while, if at all, since we've been doing this. Her voice sounds phenomenal on this one, but this track is a bit of a snoozer. What'd you think of it?
This is pretty good, man. A couple of things I really like about it: the bass line and the extremely subtle horn section, along with her
Hmm.
voice. Um, the like arrangement of it, I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, I kind of have the same issue with it. Have we talked about her before?
I've seen the name, and the only reason I hear R&B is because of you. So I'm assuming that we have for at least a couple of tracks, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we must have. Her last album was around 2020. I think she put out two EPs in 2021. We might have talked about her then. She's a really, really good R&B artist. She has like three or four songs with Khalid. All of those are like, I think, kind of the hits that she's known for, but she has a good catalog. Hopefully, this is the start of a new rollout.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, man. We got another new one from Snow Allegra. This one's produced by No ID. It's called Sweet Tea. Every time they link up, it works for me. We know we're in for something special. They're a perfect pairing, man. I'm not usually a huge fan of ballads like this, but the way they approach it is incredible. It's pretty much a Michael Jackson ballad
Oh my
structure,
God.
and she absolutely crushes it
You're
because she is that vocally talented. Do you have the same note?
literally the exact same notes. I don't really like slow ballads like this, but I gotta say this one is very Michael Jackson and very good.
Yes,
Those are my
yes,
notes.
yes, dude. That is exactly it. This is why we do this podcast together.
Right. I actually was
Still
just
no,
we were just listening to MJ over the weekend, doing some meal prep, and
yes,
needed some MJ in our lives.
never goes wrong. Still no word on if this is a new album, but two new singles in like 3 weeks. I got my fingers crossed.
We'll see.
We got a new one from Hallie called Angel. I was kind of worried she wasn't going to come back to R&B after doing the Little Mermaid movie, but she's back. She sounds like she's in her vocal prime and just vocally overwhelming. Really, really good stuff. What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, man, her voice is beautiful, and this piano on the track is just enchanting. This is really good stuff. I love the way that it builds.
You gonna watch that new Little Mermaid movie?
Yeah, I've already pirated it, but we haven't put it on yet.
There's a video of her doing Part of Your World live at Disneyland one night. Like they closed it and they do a whole projection of her doing it in front of the castle, like live. It's fucking sick, dude. Her voice is insane.
Neat, neat.
We'll throw the link to that in the show notes. Let me
Yep.
leave a note here. All right. Next up, we got a new one from No Guidance called Let It Rain. This one isn't quite as good as the tracks on the recent EP that we reviewed, but I like that they're following up their debut release with new music so soon. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, man. I saw the name No Guidance, and I was like, where do I know this from? And so I clicked on their page, and I was like, oh, it's these fucking guys. I like these guys.
Yeah.
Because we just reviewed their EP, man. Yeah, this is really good shit, man. I love the way that they make music. It's they're approaching it like I think group R&B should be approached.
Yeah, I agree. This one might be a cover. I don't know. It sounds
Maybe.
familiar, but maybe it's just one of those songs that has one of those sounds.
Yep.
Um, okay, this next one is the Charities Bring Your Love. When I took my notes, it was not playing for me. It was like grayed out. It looks like it's working again, but I do not know. Oh, this is the kind of vibey R&B track, correct?
Yeah, it's got some funk, a little bit of disco, a little bit of pop.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck has been going on with Spotify lately, man. So many like grayed out songs. The Puppy Feet one a little bit later is still not playing for me.
No, and I
I did
think
hear this one though.
yeah, I actually think it's great out on my end right now too. So we'll see if everybody go check out the charities. They make good music.
Yeah, yeah, super super sick like instrumental R&B, really good shit.
Yeah.
All right, got a new one from the ever controversial Doja Cat. This one is called Paint the Town Red. I know it's not very popular to say you still like her after her recent comments, but I've been enjoying the track she's been putting out. I don't think it's any better or worse than her previous albums that she has now described as mediocre pop, but I like it. I think it's fine. What do you think of this one?
Doja Cat's Era's tour is going to be wild when this era comes up. She better display the tweets. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
man.
Like, I'm not even on
Yeah.
Twitter and I've seen them. You know, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's a cycle. These pop stars, they get in the machine, they get elevated by the machine, and then they obviously turn against the machine soon enough. She's doing all the same stuff that's been done before. She's doing all this like satanic imagery in her music videos and being a demon, like kind of ripping off the shit Little Nas X was even doing last year. I don't know, man. It's not original, but I'm glad she thinks that it is. All right, next up we got a new one from Stormzy called Angel in the Marble. I kind of like Stormzy doing a mid 2010s Drake track like this. Like, I'm rich, this is my life over some chopped up gospel. Sign me up. Sure, dude. It's a good song and also the fourth new one that he's released this year. I was not expecting him to drop a new album after dropping one like last November, but it's starting to feel like we're heading in that direction, right?
We'll see. It doesn't feel like the singles are very connected, but you know, knowing
True,
Stormzy,
true.
he might just surprise us. Yeah, man, this guy's delivery is just fucking great. His writing is immaculate. Stormzy can just fucking get it. Dude just puts out banger after banger.
I will fight back against there's been no connectivity. All the artworks have had these weird heart-shaped glasses in them.
I see.
That
Maybe I
does
missed
link
that.
all of the artworks, but you're right. Sonically, I don't know if they all fit together. We'll see.
Word.
Got a new one from Corday called Make Up Your Mind. This is the most vanilla, good vibes only playlist bullshit Corday has released to date. Not a surprise. It's produced by Dr. Luke. The beat is mid. Corday's dick verse is awful. I really did not like this one, man.
What? You really not gonna do it for the dick? You're not gonna do that.
No, no, no. I'm jumping off the Corday train right here and right now. I jumped off the Rush train late last year. I'm jumping off the
Oh
Corday train.
man,
I'm just kidding. I still like some Corday tracks,
I
but
still
yeah,
like
this
some Rush
this ain't it.
tracks.
Yeah,
Uh,
same,
yeah,
same.
man, rap is getting weird. This track like isn't. I don't know, man. It's very much not what I was expecting when I clicked play on a Corday track. So
Fishing for a hit does not work. This
yeah,
is too cheesy to be a hit.
yeah, it's pretty cheesy, man. It's pretty cheesy.
Like, yeah. Um, all right. So we got a new one from Reason called The Soul Part 3. Man, he has been all over trending on Twitter and shit the past few days, but I have not been keeping up with Reason very much. I hadn't forgot about him, but when I saw he was releasing a new album, I figured I'd throw the new single on. It's produced by Ninth Wonder, fucking legend. I thought Reason killed this one. But the reason he's been more in the news lately is because he was saying that TDE was kind of holding this record back longer than he wanted, didn't help him secure certain features for it that he was looking for. Pretty much saying that they do not believe in him, which is shit that other artists, much bigger artists on the label, have said about the same thing. And they kind of been pushing back against it, almost making fun of their own artists. Like he was on a radio station doing an interview, kind of venting about this, and one of the like top people at TDE called in and asked the DJs if they could name 10 Reason songs. And like
Damn,
just pretty
bro, that's
much
harsh.
yeah, and like they're like, you wanted a feature from so and so, but like, what does that feature do for you? That doesn't make. And they were like calling him. They were like, so and so vouched for you to get signed. Like we all said, you were pretty much just a substitute teacher. Like it's
Damn.
been pretty rough. But regardless, his album Porsches is dropping this Friday, and if it sounds like this fucking track, I'm pretty excited for it. What
Yeah,
about you?
man. Yeah, this is fucking tight, bro. Production is fantastic. I didn't even look into it. No wonder it's Ninth Wonder. Great bars, man. This should be good, man. TDE needs to relax, or yeah, I think they need to relax.
Yeah, it would be easy to like laugh and play along if SZA did not vocally say this shit for years about them, you
Right.
know? Also, their biggest artist ever, Kendrick Lamar, is not on TDE anymore. So there's a lot that could be read into how they're running things there. Still one
Yeah.
of the greatest rap labels of the last 15, 20 years, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, somebody was saying they should trade Reason to Dreamville for draft picks.
Oh my god. Don't do that, man. At least not like right now, because Cole will throw auto tune on him and it'll be a whole thing.
Yo, I don't know. Don't hate on Cole. I think he'd be a good fit on Dreamville, actually. But nah, man, this shit was good. This shit was good. I'm not giving up on Reason. I still like the dude.
Nice.
All right, we got a new one from Orville Peck called This Masquerade. Further proof that I do not hate all covers, man. This one is very well done. So,
My note says, I bet you like covers this week.
no, fuck you. I've never claimed to not like all covers.
I
I
know, I
like good
know.
covers. This is a good cover. I imagine you agree with that statement.
Oh, yeah, bro. Orville has such a fucking voice. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, man, he killed it on this one. He recently took some time off of touring, canceled some shows to like get his mental health right. I hope he is doing well.
Touring must
Um,
be just fucking awful because he is
it's
not the
gotta be
first
brutal.
nor the 10th artist to do that in the last couple years. So,
No, no, man. I'm glad he's taking some time for himself.
for sure.
All right, got a new one from Bearings called Slip. I was not expecting another single from them so soon. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting a single for sure. But it happened. So, yeah, man, lots of pop, catchy as hell, as is Bearings. So,
Yeah, as is tradition. Their album doesn't drop this week, but next week, and it's shaping up to be pretty awesome. I feel like we've heard most of it already, though.
yeah,
All
we most definitely have.
right, did you catch this Puppy Feet one before it grayed out?
Yeah, man, I really liked it. That's why I threw it on the playlist.
I'm sorry, buddy.
We'll
I
see
did
what
not get
happens.
to hear it
We'll see what happens. It's
Yeah,
some
we'll keep
pop
an eye
punk.
on
I
it
think you'll like it.
for sure. All right, we got a new one from Broken Record called See It Through. The run that Really Rad Records has been on this year has been insane, man. So much good emo music coming out of that label. This track is awesome. I can't wait to hear more from them soon. I think they have an album dropping in the next few weeks, month or so, sometime later this year, but we will definitely be checking that out. What'd you think of this track?
Yeah, I'll mirror exactly what you said. Really rad records is like 6 for 6 this year or something like that, as far as I'm concerned. So
Killing it. Yeah, this one is really fucking good. All right, moving on. We got a new one from Crosses. This is the lead single off of their upcoming album, due out October 30th. It's called Invisible Hand. I don't really have anything to say with it about it. Like it sounds like Crosses. Are you excited for the album?
I don't think I'm excited for the album. I think look, man,
Sure.
I like Crosses, and I think they make really neat music. It's electronic and weird with a catchy chorus. Par for the course with Crosses, but I do enjoy it. I will hit the album with measured expectations.
Fair. I will do the same. All right, we got a new one from Dead Wrong called Happy Birthday. How you feeling about this one?
Another small pop punk band, man. It feels like we're really just digging into this renaissance, man. Small bands doing big shit like this is how scenes just fucking thrive, man. This is a good song.
Yeah, man, I like it. It's melodic, a little riffy. Kind of reminds me of You Me at Six, like their older stuff. It's
Yeah, a
good.
little bit.
We got a new one from The Story So Far, which is not a sentence I have ever said on this podcast. It's called Big Blind. It's been a while since we've heard something new from them, man. Feels like it should be a bigger deal than it's been. They didn't put a lot of promo into this one, and I don't think they've said a lot about it since, or if it's leading towards a new album, but one of the best bands of the 2010s is making new music again. For that, I am happy and grateful. It's a really good track. What do you think of it?
Look, man, I know they're a big deal in pop punk. I never really got into them, and it's entirely due to me not even trying. So I will,
Of
prior
course.
to a new album happening, I will be digesting their whole catalog while we wait for the new record.
Damn, almost 700,000 plays the first week. Good for them. Still have quite a following apparently.
Yeah, yeah, they sure do, man.
All right, we got a new one from Piss Me Off called Quest for Mystery. Talk to me about this one.
Just some good old fashioned hardcore punk rock, my man.
Yes, sir. Unexpectedly awesome. Still has that raw and slightly unpolished sound of a new band finding their way, but it's also high quality, well written, super fun, full of personality, which I really enjoyed. It's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I just found this band. One of the record labels that I follow on Bandcamp posted it, and I was like, ooh.
Nice. Let's wrap up the singles this week with one from Cryptopsy called Flayed the Swine. You a big fan of this one?
Yeah, man, they killed it on this one. They're brutal, they're fast, and they're gearing up to release a new record. I am stoked for it. For people who aren't in the know, please go listen to their 1996 record, None So Vile. This is a little bit different sounding. They're clearly using a triple kick pedal on this one, which I'm not a giant fan of, but the track fucking rips.
Yes, it does, man. I'll agree with you there. I love the little riff this one opens up with. Thought that one was
Right?
sick.
Right?
We will have to throw that on our release calendar.
We sure will.
Moving on to the EPs this week, we got a few. First up, one from ENNY called We Go Again. I found this girl's music a few weeks ago. Been really liking it. Her voice, her lyrics, the whole vibe of her music in general. I've had Charge It in my rotation all week, but I thought the whole EP was great. Wanted you to check it out as well. What did you think of it?
Yeah, man, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but this was absolutely fantastic. I really liked this. She experiments with like a number of different beat
Yeah.
styles, flows, and atmospheres here, and all of them work. This one got played a little more than I thought it would. No skips on this EP, man. This is a really good one.
No. Yeah, kind of like Little Sims, but a little bit more melodic. It's really, really good stuff.
Yeah, man, I agree. She even name drops his
Yes.
Sims.
Of course, as you should.
Right.
Um, all right, man. We got a new EP from Feed Me called Feed Me from the Clouds. What did you think of it?
Man, I just love it when you say those words. We got new something from Feed Me.
I
As
know.
soon
I know.
as Total started, I had just the biggest cheeser smile on my face, man. That Feed Womp Womp Wah. It's just fucking awesome, man. Always a good day when we get more music from the man himself. All 5 tracks are bangers, as is tradition from him. You know, I
Hmm.
actually did a thing. I think it's stats.fm, where you can actually request from Spotify your like extended streaming data from them, and see who is like your most streamed artist. And I've been on Spotify for 10 years now, I think, and Feed Me is my number one.
Damn. I'm
Does that
not
surprise you?
surprised at all. No, not at all. Not
I've
one bit.
I've listened to 140 hours of Feed Me only on Spotify, which I've listened to quite a
Dear
bit of it
God.
elsewhere. So this whole EP is my song of the week.
Dear God. Do you still have the teeth on your car?
I do, but my car is kind of a piece of shit now, so the teeth are definitely fading. But
Yeah, I'm
I
sure. It's been a long time.
I almost sent you a video because I've got that Feed Me mask from his Love Is All You Got video, and I almost sent you a video of me fucking
Oh,
jamming to
fuck yeah.
this to this album, but
You should have.
I couldn't find it. But I have it. I know I have it.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you. This album is awesome, dude. Pretty much what I expected. Total starts things off with that more modern Feed Me sound. Love Control goes in more of like a melodic house direction. Say yes or say no. Still a banger, and Thump Thump is just a party, dude. For his first EP in years, he really delivered.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Let's wrap up the EPs this week with a new one from Carathis called The Haunting of Sablewood. How you feeling about this one?
So before we jumped on the mic, I told you I've been doing some interesting black metal explorations, and I saw that this came out. Somebody posted it in like a Discord server that I'm on or something, and God, they just did this whole thing so well, man. It's like punk rock with like a black metal. It's like black metal punk rock crossover. I don't know what you would really call it, but the drumming is not black metal, but everything else is. The Slayer cover at the end of it is done really well. There's not terribly too much more to say about this other than I think I really liked it. I'll be on the lookout for more Carathis here. What did you think about it? I'm way more curious than that.
I really enjoyed how campy it is. Your explanation of how you found it completely explains where it came from. I enjoyed it for what it was, man. They picked a concept, they dove in. It's super over the top. Definitely won't be for everyone, but I thought it was a good EP.
Yeah, man, I dug it.
Okay, we got a few albums to talk about this
Sure do.
week. First of which is a new one from the Front Bottoms called You Are Who You Hang Out With. And as expected, this one is great, dude. Very well written. The songs are catchy, they're witty, they're sardonic, a little bit depressing. The music is melodic and creative. And at only 35 minutes, it leaves you wanting more. At least it left me wanting a little more, which is good. I love the way they incorporate keys on tracks like emotional, and the way that they dive into more like therapeutic themes on tracks like Punching Bag. There's a lot of depth to this album, and I'm sure I'll be finding new things that I like about it every time I listen to it. I didn't love all of it though. I thought that the auto tune in Paris was a little unnecessary and stood out in a bad way on what is otherwise a pretty great album. And I think the album starts to lose a little bit of steam after that, despite the writing still being excellent. We'll see if my feelings on any of that change over time. But for now, I'm really, really liking it. I have it around like a 7.5, maybe an 8. My standout is emotional, but man, there's a lot of great ones on here. What did you think about it?
Nice. Oh, I'm glad you really liked it, man. We have to agree that this album artwork though is just fucking art. Um,
Incredible.
Look, man, the appeal of the Front Bottoms to me is Brian's way of songwriting and vocal delivery that's like paired with their like emo folk punk style instrumentation. And I feel like there's like a ton of ways to experiment in that realm, and I feel like they went like an entirely different direction on this one.
Yeah.
The album starts with emotional, with has like layered synth underneath like auto-tuned vocals that just, in my opinion, do a big disservice for it. Now I know that most artists in general use some form of auto tune, and I'm sure that Brian has before. However, this like Young Thug style saturated vocal filter is just not what I wanted out of the front bottoms, and it happens on Emotional, on Paris, on I think two other songs also, and it just kind of
Yeah.
pulls me out of the experience, right? Um, I don't really even skip those songs on the subsequent listens, but more so I just know that I'm going to eventually get to the
I
stuff I like.
yes, I agree. I agree.
There's like an aura of pop music on this album, and they've always had this like poppy kind of catchy sensibility, but this seems like it's done way more on purpose, and it's not something that sits well with me. There are a few moments that I
Fair.
absolutely love on this album, though. Outlook, Punching Bag, Not Joking. All three of those tracks are just fucking awesome. But tracks like Clear Path and Paris don't even like really sound like the front bottoms, like even a little bit, in my opinion. Well, Emotional a little bit, but I do like the album title call out on Batman. I do like that, even though I'm not a giant fan of that song. Now, as disappointed as I am in the fact that this is a front bottoms record, the music itself is good, and
Mhm.
I'm kind of torn there, right? I think I liked about half of this album. I am curious to see how far they take this like synth laden pop punk with a youthful flair. These will undeniably be a little bit of shake up in their live shows, obviously, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll see at least a little bit of commercial success. In my opinion, this is not a great front bottoms record, but it is a decent pop rock album. I think I'm going to give it a 5, man. My standout though is Punching Bag. That was that track I kept coming back to.
That is super fair, man. I think that it's obviously a departure from the sound that they blew up with all those years ago. But yeah, man, I think that it rang more for me. It rang well more for me more often than it didn't. But I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and again, I think I liked half of it.
It's an interesting album in that regard too. Like being so short, like with the way albums are, it's almost if they would have removed those two songs, like Paris or Clear Path, it would have been probably a much better album, but it might have been a little too
A
short
little
at
too
that
short.
moment.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
But who knows, man? Let's move on to this new one from Teenage Wrist called Still Love. Talk to me about this one.
Alrighty. So Epitaph Records has been pumping out fantastic albums for like a long time now. Should be expected when the guitarist from Bad Religion owns it. But typically we get more punk-centered albums from them. At least that's historic. However, this album by Teenage Wrist isn't necessarily a punk or even really punk adjacent album. There's a couple moments though. What it is though is pretty fucking good. I've been aware of Teenage Wrist for a couple of years now, and I love how much they draw from the '90s when it comes to inspiration. And this album is really just '90s alt rock worship, in my opinion, a pretty good way. We've even got a rap verse on Dark Sky. Look, man, I love the lyrical content on this album. I'm just a shadow of my digital self gets stuck in my head every single time I hear this one. The album, though, really picks up around Cold Case for me. It's just pure early 90s grunge worship, man. And then we get right afterwards Cigarette Two Step, and oh my God, this track goes hard, man. The saxophone at the end of Sprawled is somehow perfect, even though it's the last thing I thought I'd want to hear on this album. The Cigarette Two Step. What is it? It's Cold Case, Cigarette Two Step, and Sprawled is like my favorite three song
Yeah.
run on this album.
There's
Paloma.
Humbug in there too.
Oh, that's right, huh? Paloma is like a weird closer, but it's coming in at 47 minutes, man. I think it's a great length for this type of album. I think they did a really fantastic job with most of it. I'm going to give this one a 7, man. My standout was Sprawled. I really didn't expect to like that song so much, but I kept coming back to it and like, oh,
The
God.
damn saxophone
The
gotcha.
goddamn saxophone.
Yeah, dude, I agree with this one. I also gave it a 7. It's really good. You're right. It's not quite pop punk. It's more grungy alt rock. Manages to capture that what we've referred to as modern 90s sound. There's no fucking way a song like Sunshine doesn't end up in the soundtrack for a slasher if it came out in 97. This whole album has that type of energy and sound to it, and a surprising amount of features, most of which work incredibly well, especially when they change things up a little bit, like they do on Cigarette Two Step with Fear Before.
Right.
It's a solid album. I could see myself coming back to it from time to time. Giving it a 7 for now. My standout is the title track, Still Love with Soft Cult. Really liked that one.
Great song.
Moving on, we got a new album from Humanity's Last Breath called Ashen. Been awaiting your thoughts on this one all week. Hit me.
Can a deathcore album be refreshing, John?
It can be.
Because
Yes.
I am refreshed almost every time I hear this album. It's proggy, it's heavy as fuck, it's weird and choppy, it's really well performed. I'm so glad that I heard this band right before they started rolling out an album, and I'm glad we didn't miss it, man, because a band this
Same.
young knowing how to create atmosphere that they do is going to shake up some scenes, I think. Tracks like Linger, Withering, and Catastrophize are all great examples of just atmospheric building. Look, man, I love the details on this thing. The little moments that leave you wondering what you're going to get next. A lot of deathcore albums lately, at the very least, you can tell what you're going to get after the first track plays through. But Humanity's Last Breath absolutely kept me guessing the majority of the time. They don't shy away from experimenting with time signatures, with like odd guitar riffs, odd breakdown structures, and even like odd vocal choices. And I say odd, but everything works on this record, man. I am a big fan of this one, and it's my second favorite deathcore record of the year, right behind the Acacia Strain's "Step into the Light." They beat out the Suicide Silence deathcore album earlier this year. Although I think that's more of a death metal album. I'm gonna give this one somewhere between a 7 and an 8. Bearer or Catastrophize as my favorite song on this one.
I don't know if you know this, man, but these guys are pretty good at what they do.
Yeah, no, they sure fucking are, man.
Yeah, dude. And what they do is make really precise and technical proggy death metal that's both heavy and creative. You can hear the cohesion of over a decade of being a band together coming together on this project. It's not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but it does take some chances and try some things. They kick things off with the absolute scorcher that is Blood Spilled before it goes into the early album standout Linger, which showcases just so many of the things that make them great as a band. The rhythm, the timing, the writing, it's all top notch on that one. We also get some late album standouts like Passage, but the real heart of this album is that two-song run of Instill and Labyrinthian, both of which are fantastic. I'm giving this one a 7. My standout is Instill.
Hey, I'm so glad you liked it a lot, man. It's a
Yeah,
really
man,
good
really
record.
enjoyed that one. Really enjoyed that one. I almost never text you about metal outside of on mic or talk to you about
Right.
it. And I remember the first song of theirs you threw on. I was like, what is this?
And I think I responded with yes.
Yeah, I was like, what kind of metal is this? And you were like, yes. Yeah, man, they are awesome. They are definitely doing something different. I really appreciated it.
Oh, good, man. Yeah, this is definitely a good one.
All right. We got a new album from Crypta called Shades of Sorrow. Talk to me about this one.
Brazilian death metal gals of Crypta have released their second album on Napalm Records, and I gotta say, man, I really dig it, dude. This is straight up death metal, and it fucking rips, man. They've got the technicality, they've got the brutality, they've got the blast beats. What's not to like here, man? There's a few things specifically, though, that I love about this album. Number one, the vocals. Fernanda is pulling a John Gallagher here and playing both bass and performing vocals. Her variations in her vocals are insane. Her enunciation is immaculate, really hard to do in case people don't know about screaming, and her lows are like really impressive.
Agree.
Number two, the bass. The bass is tuned super weirdly or put through like a weird filter or something, but it's creating this kind of like edge to their sound that like really works, at least for me. It's real fucking neat. That bass solo on Poisonous Apathy is fucking incredible. And number three, man, how catchy the whole thing is. Just listen to that intro on The Other Side of Anger, the chorus on Poisonous Apathy, the droning and doomy riffs on Agents of Chaos. It's all super catchy. And that's something that's missing from a lot of modern death metal, in my opinion, the catchiness. And they managed to really capture it in a form that works so well for their playing style. I love the drumming on like a technical standpoint, but I'm not a huge fan of how they're tuned. And that's like one of the only things I don't like about this album. I am
Interesting.
thoroughly impressed with Crypta, and I look forward to listening to their first album and the last band that they were all in, called Nervosa, and any future releases from them. I'm gonna do a deep dive on this one because I really did enjoy this one. Again, another between a 7 and an 8. My standout was Poisonous Apathy. I think that is the clear standout of this
Wrong
album.
there.
All right, what'd you think,
Um,
buddy?
yeah, man, you liked it a little bit more than I did, but you hit all of the same points. It's a really good album, dude. That gorgeous piano intro into that blood-curdling scream is a great way to kick off an album like this. That scream kicks off the track Dark Clouds, which is just an absolutely relentless exercise in brutality. And the album really just does not take its foot off your throat much from there. It explores different tempos and lets the music take the front seat from time to time, but it's pretty much nonstop brutality from start to finish. The vocals are ferocious and, like you said, very dynamic, and the music is just providing a perfect canvas for them. In terms of my personal preference, I don't know, it's a little heavier than I normally listen to, but overall, I was really impressed with this album. It's well put together, and I just love the haunting atmosphere they're able to build on tracks like The Limbo. I
Right.
don't know how often I'll return to this one, but if I'm ever in the mood for this type of music, I will definitely remember this band and this album. I'm going to give it a 7.5. My standout is Dark Clouds, which is clearly the best song on it, Brandon. Come on.
All right. You can. Hey, we've both been wrong at least once
Yes.
on this
Yes.
podcast.
You were probably 1000% right. I'm going to listen after we're done and I'm gonna be like, God damn it, he was right. All right, man. Let's wrap up the albums this week with a new one from the Gorge called Mechanical Fiction. Talk to me about it.
All right, man. So this one took me by surprise a little bit. I
Same.
saw somebody post this on a Discord server that I'm on, and it came out like the week before last. I like passively listened to it real quick, and then I threw it in my In Case of Slow Week playlist. And when I listened to it again, I like kept getting like drawn. I was doing something. I remember doing something, and it being in only one of my ears, and then like my entire body would have a reaction to one of these riffs, and I'd be like, what is this? um, Obviously this is progressive metal. It reminds me
Yes.
of early Between the Buried and Me and The Ocean, like their early stuff before Holocene.
Yep.
uh, every track finds its own groove, and that groove is fucking neat every time. This album has incredible original riffs. It's wonky as fuck time signatures and an insanely talented drummer. Most of this is chaos, and then all of a sudden it's not. That's got to be one of my favorite things about prog metal, and this band does it so well. Take Remnants of Grief, for example. It comes out the gate with like this massive amount of energy, and even when the song slows down, they find this weird groove around the 3 minute mark, and it's still able to carry that massive amount of energy that it started with, even though like the energy in the music itself is lower.
Yeah.
The way tracks like Beneath the Crust progress through what seems like 3 or 4 time signatures to get to a crescendo that's not nearly as heavy as the rest of the song, but like still really make the impact that it does is fucking crazy, man. But for me, it's tracks like Earthly Decay that really show off this band's range and influences. This band is going to blow up in prog circles, I think. I mean, I hope. They've opened for the
I
likes
think
of
so.
Intronaut and The Ocean, and they're doing their things in like a really ferocious way while still keeping that like sophisticated aura that surrounds progressive music intact. I also really love how I can hear like a ton of their influences in their music without it being derivative.
Same.
I hear a
Hmm.
lot of Meshuggah, a lot of Gojira. I hear a lot of Thelonious Monk in the drumming. I'm a big fan of this one, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This is an 8 out of 10 for me. My standout was Earthly Decay. These people need way more monthly listeners.
Yes, I agree, man. Once again, you said it all. I really enjoyed this one. Prog metal with some kind of hardcore worked in there. Sign me up, dude. The vocals are excellent, but it's the instrumental sections where this album really shines for me. It's just some brilliant stuff, but for how technically overwhelming it can be, it's also very approachable. It doesn't take a deep understanding of this type of music to enjoy what they're doing for a majority of this album. as someone who doesn't revisit stuff like this very often, this one was neck and neck with the new album from the Front Bottoms for my most played this week. It's
Hell
one
yeah.
that should age incredibly well. I can see kids 20 years from now finding this and having their fucking minds blown. It is that good. Only time will tell, though. I'm also going to give it an 8. My standout is Remnants of Grief.
Great song, man. Great song.
Yeah,
I mean,
really, really good one.
any of these could be a standout, and you'd be correct. Yeah, I have yet to find maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but I really want a physical copy of this. So the Gorge, if you are listening, please release something physical so I can purchase it from you. And yeah, man, I really like this one. I'm glad you liked it as much as I did.
Yeah, thanks for throwing it on, man.
Hell yeah.
Okay, that does it for us this week. Join us next week for a fucking stacked episode. We have new albums from Anima, Benny the Butcher, Emotional Oranges, Hail the Sun, Jungle, No Name, Reason, and much, much more. Fucking insane, dude. If you guys like the show, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. You can find us on Instagram and Reddit. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. You can find the link to that in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.